Hi, this is Morgan, and it is currently 54 degrees and sunny in New York City.
Hi, this is Karen, and it's 77 degrees and sunny.
And welcome back to Bicoastal Besties. What are we discussing today, Karen?
Today we're talking about going to the theater, the movie
Theater.
theater, maybe the theater. We'll see. We'll
We'll
see what
see.
we get into.
This week, Karen and I both saw Project Hail Mary, and for me personally, it was one of the best things I've seen in the theater in a really long time. There's something about the little rock in his computers and the way that he was talking. And there was something so specific about the imagery and the storytelling and the cinematography and how most of it was practical. Like there were so many things about it that I just loved. And going in, I didn't really know much of that, but I don't know if y'all saw the trailer. The trailer was kind of ass. I'm not gonna lie.
Every time I went to the movies, I saw that trailer. Like
Mhm.
literally I was like, when is that movie coming out? So I was like, ooh, it's gonna be good.
No, I remember seeing the trailer and I was like, oh great, another white man going to space. And I and I was like, how is this going to be different from all other space movies? Because there's Interstellar, there's Gravity, there's The Martian, which is also written by the same author that wrote the book for Project Hail Mary.
I knew we were.
Yeah. I was like, how is this? I was like, I don't, ooh, he's got to make a choice to save the world. Like life is so hard. And then I cried 5 times, threw up a little bit in my mouth, and had a revelation in the theater. But no, it was I want everybody to I hope by the time this comes out, everybody's seen it. It was genuinely just a gorgeous experience, and even the score was like really cool and interesting.
It was genuinely one of the best movies I've seen. So unlike you, I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, that looks really interesting. I haven't read the book. I want to read the book now. My dad wanted to watch it because he had read the book, so I was like, okay. And then he's like, let's watch it 9 p.m. on a Thursday. And I was like, how about we don't do that? We ended up watching it like prime time, like
Oh,
6:30 on Saturday. So I actually really liked the movie. It was a little bit hard for me to focus, which I'll get into later, but it was really good. I did, in fact, like cry through most of it. I was like fighting for my life. I
yeah.
did. I saw the videos of people who had seen it like a little bit before me, and they were like, I was crying the whole time, and I was like, fuck, I'm so sensitive. I'm gonna bring tissues. So I brought tissues, and they came in handy. But I just loved everything about it. Like genuinely, the fact that Rocky was a puppet instead of like CGI,
So good.
like amazing. Um,
Amaze, amaze, amaze.
amaze. Um, but like the practical effects were just genuinely so awesome, and I please put more practical effects in films. Like from now on,
Yeah.
please. They're genuinely so awesome.
You
Like,
know what's here's my gag about practical and CGI and whatever else. I feel like the peak of when people were in their CGI bag was like when Transformers came out. That is some of the
mhm.
best CGI you will ever see in your entire life. Transformers and Pirates of the Caribbean.
See, I don't really like remember them, so I don't have a
Go
comment.
like literally look up when you have a chance Davy Jones CGI for
Oh, the
I think
like
it's like
octopus guy.
yes.
Mhm.
And
He
then
scared
Optimus Prime
me.
in Transformers. Yeah,
Like he
but
scared me so bad, so there's no thoughts in there about
Davy
him.
Jones luck. No, he was scary. But the amount of detail and intricacy that used to go into CGI and the level of I don't even know. Again, also in that same it was all of them, it was like 2008 to like 2011 is when these movies were coming out.
But also, I feel like my biggest issue with CGI versus
Hmm.
like with practical effects, I'm like, holy, that's so fucking cool.
Hmm.
Like whenever I see CGI in like movies, I'm just like, oh, this is shitty CGI. But with like practical effects, I'm like, oh my God. Like the fact that they literally had Ryan in a like chicken wire box
Yeah.
and then the light, like it's just I feel like if I was in that situation and like that's what I saw in front of me, like in real life, I would also be crying.
That sequence where they switch to the infrared, which if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. I rarely am I watching a movie and like am I is my breath taken away and I'm in tears as of late. I feel like that used to happen more because it was new to
Mhm.
me. But I was also seeing it in IMAX. I was like right in the middle of the theater. It was like perfect spot. And it was just like, whoa. And it made me feel like a kid. I was like, oh my gosh, like this feels so new and so refreshing to watch. And just the visuals in that movie in general were just insane. And if I don't know if you've seen any of like the behind the scenes clips and whatever else, but there's also a part where he's like literally catching this canister thing that's like flying through the air.
Mhm.
And they did that practically where they have him on a harness and he's flipping through the air and they throw it at him.
No, and he's better than me because I would have passed out.
I would have been like, guys, wrap it up. I also am so impressed with the puppeteer that did the voice for Rocky as well.
James Ortiz.
Yeah, he's also done some stuff on Broadway.
One of the things that I thought was like really cool was the fact that, at least from what I understood from this interview I saw, was that like I don't think they were sure about giving Rocky a voice, but then like Ryan Gosling and James Ortiz were just like playing, and he
Yeah,
was like voicing like Rocky's thoughts and stuff. And they were like, "Oh, that's his voice," which I'm like, that's so cool as like an actor when you get that like moment to be like, "Oh, like that's it."
yeah. Puppeteering is really interesting. And I think it's a little bit underrated in the grand scheme of things because I'm like, yeah, puppets, like, fuck it, whatever. The way that puppets have impacted our American culture, Sesame Street, The Muppets, Jim
Hey,
Henson in general has had a run.
Avenue Q beat Wicked for the
Avenue
Tony.
Q beat Wicked for Best Musical in 2003 at the Tonys. Even if I'm talking about like puppetry, one of my favorite movies, The Labyrinth, which is such a weird movie, but the level of puppetry and intricacy that goes into that movie as well, it's definitely a little bit more on the whimsical, like silly side, and also David Bowie is in it. But no, the puppets in that movie are really fascinating. There's like again huge ones that are like 7 feet tall, and then there's one that's literally like a little worm, and he's like this big, and he lives in the walls. But with Project Hail Mary specifically, the behind the scenes of the puppetry was really cool because they show that like when Rocky is stationary, like sitting in one spot, they're literally working him through the floor, which I think is
Hmm.
awesome. And in the parts where they couldn't really like get into the ball because he's rolling around or
Yeah.
whatever, essentially they like have like a long table and they have a miniature version of the puppet and they map it out as to what it would look like if all of them were controlling it. And then they basically take that as a reference and then put it into the ball. So I would say it was about like 50-50 on the digital and puppetry side, I think is what they said,
But
which I
that's still
think
like awesome.
is really impressive because it didn't feel like Rocky is like a fake.
He was real to me.
Right, it's like he's not a tennis ball on a stick. If when you look like behind the scenes of like Marvel movies, especially like if they have anybody as the Hulk or any of these other characters that are completely computer generated, it looks kind of insane and ridiculous. And I have to imagine for the actors, it's a little bit harder to like lock in that regard.
Yeah.
It's like Mark Ruffalo's looking at you with giant blue arms, and you're just like, with this movie, I can only imagine what the filming process is like, especially for Ryan Gosling. It has to be, I think he was saying it was kind of isolating. He spends so much time by
He said that
himself.
he was filming by himself for 100 days or something like that. So they made him the mop he was dancing with in the movie
Yeah.
was like the friend they made him to like cope with his.
Yeah. And then I saw like the part where they're trying to pick Rocky's voice and he's listening to all the voices. Apparently they had his kids like saying funny stuff into the earpiece, which I was like, that's really sweet. It is one of those movies where I left it and I left with the same feeling that I leave with whenever I watch a Spielberg movie, which is so specific and so I remember I saw they brought Back to the Future back to the movies, which is produced by Spielberg before anybody tries to be annoying. I remember watching that and there's something so like it's a movie that feels like a movie, as Harry Styles once said. But there's like this deep internal feeling of I'm watching something that's bigger than me, but also feels like it's a part of me at the same time. Jurassic Park, one of my favorite movies of all time. I think the dinosaurs are right. They try to make them the villains, but I'm like the real villain. Well, actually, you know what? No, because I think they're on the same page with me. The real villain is that man that was trying to sneak the DNA out of the thing and the guy that started the park because stop, why would you do that? I digress. But there's just this like fantastical element about it and this element of like, wow, this is so amazing.
Did you see the most recent Jurassic Park?
No.
Yeah,
If it was made after
nothing to say about that.
1993, I'm not watching it.
I have nothing to say about that movie.
I have nothing to say. I'm like, I'll maybe give them Jurassic World because it was a fun time and it was like the first of the reboot, like the very first one. And when she was standing there with the flare and she's running away from the dinosaur, that was fire. I'll give them that much. But that's what the entire movie of the first Jurassic Park felt like. That like felt like that one moment. Also told Karen I hadn't felt this way about Project Hail Mary like in a theater since I saw La La Land back in December 9th, 2016. I was in high school. If it was 2016, I was a freshman. And I remember that day I told my mom that I was like staying after school for rehearsal or something. I lied. I'm sorry if you're listening to this. I said I was going to be somewhere else besides where I was, which was at the movies. I went with my friend Kaylee and her mom. We were not old enough to drive, obviously. I think at that point I was 14. And I remember I had seen like maybe one trailer for the movie, but I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know that it was a musical. I knew Emma Stone was in it kind of. I just remember seeing like a trailer and then being like, "Ooh, go see it." And I was like, "This looks corny, but whatever." And I remember as soon as it started, like,
The same exact way.
yeah,
When I
I,
saw the trailer, I was like, this looks so corny. I was
I
like,
was like,
this
"Oh,
is.
like here they go." And I remember it started because it starts with Another Day of Sun. I remember I was gagged because I was like is this a musical? And at this time I was just like getting into my musical theater bag. Like I was not I wasn't like, yeah, this is yeah. I was just like, ugh, like these kids they won't stop dancing. I was like friends with theater kids. I remember I would get in the car and they would specifically play the musicals of a certain well-known Broadway voice. And so I went into musicals and thinking about musicals in a very specific way. Anyway, so I'm sitting there in this movie theater and I'm realizing that this movie's musical, and I was like, oh, okay. Now I'm thinking about this in a different way. But as the movie went on, it didn't feel like, oh, I'm watching this manufactured, they're throwing musical numbers in my face. They're so well embedded into the story. And my favorite song from the movie is not even a song that's sung. It's one of the pieces that's a part of the score, which is the engagement party sequence, which is after me and Sebastian break up. I think, if not officially, but this is like they break up and she's like, it's over. And it's after nobody comes to her show and he comes late. It's like this montage of them kind of living their separate lives for the first time after like knowing each other. And he's like playing the piano at an engagement party and she's, kind of in this place when she goes back home. And I don't know why, but like even but the way that that music moves and the way that all the music is structured throughout the story, there's all these little musical motifs that are really beautiful. And a musical motif, I think I said this last time, but now I need to explain what it is. A musical motif is a very specific line of music or piece of music or a few notes even that repeat throughout a musical, movie, whatever. All Quiet on the Western Front has one that's kind of crazy, and it cracks me up because when they presented at the Oscars, it was like, "Bwah, bwah, bwah." Like every time that they won something, every time it was just it's insane. But for La La Land, there's actually a handful of them. But the engagement party song feels like a culmination of all those, and it's crazy because then once the song ends, it's like I think it's when he goes to get her to make her go to this audition. But I fell in love with that movie so much. It also made me fall in love with the color blue on screen and just color on screen in general.
Damien Chazelle is such a master at color, actually.
Yes.
Like the colors in Whiplash too are so stark. That movie is genuinely, if you haven't seen Whiplash, like it's not that long and also it's like pretty easy to pay attention to, but genuinely it's so fucking stressful to watch.
It is an incredible movie. It's stressful, and again, J.K. Simmons won an Oscar for that performance because he's. I love J.K. Simmons. I love that bald man, and he is everywhere if you open your eyes to see him. Yeah, Damien, the way Damien does color is really interesting because I feel like Whiplash plays a little bit with more of like the reds and yellows,
Mhm.
while La La Land sits in a very like blue and purple and pink space.
Well, and if you think about the like themes of the like movies, it makes a lot of sense because Whiplash
Yeah,
is more about like anger and stress and like other things like that. So, and he talks a lot about like how a lot of the times people put like a tons of color on screen because
yeah,
like, oh, that's how I'll make it colorful, but then everything looks dull. Well, if you just focus on like one color in particular,
yeah.
and it makes it look so much more vibrant.
That's what I was gonna say. The yellow dress when she goes to the party and it's like everything's kind of blue and whatever. And speaking of musical motifs, like that someone in the crowd sequence, there's the part where everything's in slow motion and the music is doing a very specific thing. And that very specific music from that scene is the same music that's in the engagement party sequence.
Or like do.
Yeah. But this time it's not even like it's not the same because it's not
That's so
building towards anything.
annoying.
It feels
Yeah.
resolved. And oh my God. I love that movie so much.
It's one of my it's one of my letterbox top four.
Yeah, it was in my top four for a while, and then I was like, okay, let me put it to rest. It's in my heart forever. In my heart, it's number five. But I remember the end of that movie is evil. The end of that movie is diabolical, and the most beautiful thing, if we're talking about musical motifs, me
Sorry,
and
sorry.
Sebastian's theme is the song that Sebastian is playing on the piano the first time that they we see them actually interact with each other, besides, flipping each other off on the freeway. But it goes through the epilogue, which is it goes through the epilogue, which kind of replays this romanticized version of the relationship, and then it goes into what could have been had they gotten together, which they didn't, and then it goes back to real life, and we just see them staring at each other from across the cafe, and both of their dreams came true, but not with each other. And I think that is really diabolical and mean and evil, and really beautifully done.
I think what's like powerful also about the epilogue though is that it showed that if they had stayed together, they wouldn't be where they were and they wouldn't have achieved their dreams.
That part.
No, it's so good. Like it genuinely like it feels basic to be like I love La La Land so much, but like genuinely it changed my life.
No, the ones who get it get it. And honestly, I think it's one of those movies that sits in such a special place in my heart because it not only taught me to like go into things. It made me like going into things not knowing what they're going to be. But I think it was the first time I had a very visceral emotional response to a movie besides Les Mis in 2012. No, I think it was the first time I'd seen a story that incorporated these musical elements was also very real about like this is how relationships can end. And it's like you not every story is going to be the happy ending that you think it'll be.
Also like not sad though. Like the
Yeah.
ending is sad from the perspective of like, oh, like they're always gonna love each other.
Yeah.
Also, it's not sad because he got his club and
And she's
he's a movie
oh,
star. So
movie star.
it's like it's not sad in the way that it's like, oh, like these two people like have regrets in their life. It's just like sad from the perspective of like, oh, they couldn't be together anymore.
I think what makes it hit so hard at the end is like we see their relationship evolve through all these different phases. And it's like we see them literally start out beefing with each other. And then we see them form somewhat of a friendship. And then we see them fall in love. And then we see the cracks starting to form in that. And then we see them fall out of love-ish, kind of. I feel like it's one of the most earned Best Actress Oscars, not even because she did anything that was like so crazy and profound, but it was just like the way that she was able to portray that story and like that vulnerability and even that feeling when you're trying to like get your career off the ground and it's like no one is taking you seriously. It's a beautiful thing.
I feel like I love this moment. It's like when she sees Sebastian at the party and he's like in a like I think Wham cover band and she's like, "Oh, play Iran." And he's like, "A serious musician is not going to play Iran." And she's like, "Play Iran." And then
And then she got her, and this is what I mean when I say any chance that you get to get your look back, take it. It's fascinating because it's like we see them starting out in very similar places with their careers. It's like she takes herself seriously, he takes herself himself pretty seriously, but the people around them don't. And I
yeah,
think there's like a certain point where I think the her biggest heartbreak is when she realizes that he's not taking her seriously because he says, "What do you know? You're just an actress." Once his career starts to kick off, and yeah, she was valid for getting the fuck out of there because that was crazy. The way that I felt watching Project Hail Mary and leaving that theater was very similar to the way I felt when I left the theater after watching La La Land. And yeah, it's such a specific feeling. It makes you remember why like people go to the movies and why seeing something at the movies versus watching it on streaming at home or even watching it on like YouTube or your phone or whatever. It's like such a different experience.
I think my favorite way to consume media is for sure in 15-second clips through TikTok.
I wasn't even gonna give you the satisfaction of laughing, but it was a little funny. Uh, I used to not understand why people were like, "Oh, I have to see it in IMAX." Like all the film bros, I was like, "Oh, y'all are so damn annoying." And now I'm like, I should probably see it in IMAX. It's gonna get brought up every episode. I saw the Bride in IMAX. I saw Back to the Future in IMAX. Actually, that was really fun.
I think one of my biggest regrets is not seeing Sinners in IMAX
Same.
because I would have loved to see that like aspect ratio shift.
Yeah. I saw One Battle After Another. There's that little ticket thing in IMAX. It really just, to me, it makes it feel like you're just like wrapped in the movie.
Remember when we went to go see Don't Worry, Darling?
When Karen and I were living in London, we went to go see Don't Worry, Darling, which y'all can shit on Don't Worry, Darling all day. I was entertained.
No, I was entertained too. I was like, fuck, what's going on? Oh my God. And then when they revealed him to be like some incel, I was like, oh my God.
Yuck.
Yeah.
Not everyone gets this opportunity. Like y'all had to be there. You had to be there. We saw Don't Worry, Darling, and we saw I don't know if you saw The Menu with me, but I saw The Menu in London.
No, I saw the menu when I came back home, London.
Okay. I also love The Menu. The Menu doesn't get enough love. Ray Fiennes doesn't get enough love as an actor.
I love Ray Fiennes, but I did not love the menu, but it's okay.
It's fine. But my favorite part of The Menu is when he's talking to the girl and he's like, "What college did you go to?" And she's like, "Brown." He's like, "Student loans?" "No." "I'm sorry, you're dying." Such good delivery.
I think my favorite part of the menu, because even when I don't particularly like enjoy something, I can still find things that I enjoy. Like I didn't enjoy it as like a whole,
Yeah.
but I can admit that it had a compelling story
Yes.
and that there was aspects about the actual like creative process that I did enjoy. Like I
Yeah.
liked how they showed the dishes
Yeah.
when they were
And it was
like,
like Tyler's bullshit.
yeah, Tyler's bullshit. Like that was my favorite part.
Oh, another movie I was thinking about where I was like, I remember being in the theater for that was Get Out. It's been, I think, almost 10 years since Get Out, also. Get Out was in my top four on Letterboxd. It'll probably always be that movie. Not only was it the first time we saw Jordan Peele as a director and a screenwriter for something that was not Key and Peele, which is also equally hilarious and incredible. But Get Out was one of those movies for me where the first time I saw it, I think it was the first like black horror film I saw. And I think it was kind of this unicorn of a movie because it was kind of the first to do it was kind of a spin on 1967, a movie comes out and it's called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And it is one of Sidney Poitier's like most iconic roles, if not most famous role. And to me, Get Out felt like a modernized version of that story, but told through a horror lens. So Guess Who's Coming to Dinner comes out in 1967, and Get Out comes out in 2017, 50 years later. And Get Out feels like the story that Black people wanted to tell when it comes to a story like that of not only interracial dating or interracial relationships or whatever, but what it feels like to go into that family or what it feels like to go into that field. And I think specifically with Get Out, it's like, what would be the worst case scenario if this happened? And obviously, the movie gives us that. And not only was it profound because it gave us a story that was so unique and fresh. And upon watching those trailers and before going to see the movie, you're not going to know that any of what happens in that movie happens. And I love a movie where it feels like the plot is slowly just like peeling back and unfolding as you watch it, not like they give it to you and then you're waiting for it to happen. I think Weapons also did a really good job at this, which is interesting because Zach Krieger is also a comedy writer. So I'm like, okay, are they good at writing this because they're good at telling jokes and good at writing up build-ups and whatever?
I think
Okay,
it's because like with comedy, you kind of have to like think more about everything to like sort of
yeah,
flush it out and make it work.
yeah,
Because if you think about it, you need with comedy, there needs to be a justification for everything as to like why you're telling this joke. And like you need to really like if it's gonna be something that like lands later, you need to really like build into that like the
yeah,
beginning just so that the audience can like follow through. So I
yeah.
think like once you have that sort of like understanding, then you can kind of like jump into that. I think that's why they also say that like comedy actors tend to like really thrive in like drama or like other.
I think we talked about this a little bit. I think comedy actors are really good at reading the room because
Mhm.
you have to be. And so when you have to make that adjustment between comedy and drama, I think it's easier.
You know what it is? You have to listen. You have
Ooh.
to know how to listen.
Ooh. I think Get Out is one of those movies that should be studied at schools, especially if you're talking about African American studies. I think the trilogy, the trifecta as I refer to, so Get Out, Us, and Nope, which the people slept on Nope. I love that movie. I think I saw it 3 or 4 times in theaters. But each one has a very distinct and specific thing that they're saying about either American culture or entertainment culture as a whole. I think Nope is definitely leaning into more of the entertainment culture and especially entertainment in America. And then I think Us sits in a place of one of my favorite lines in that movie is she was like, "We're Americans." Like, didn't mean to mimic her voice, but like that's one of the things that she says. But it's such an interesting movie about trauma and it's too good.
Like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the time horror is what kind of sticks with me
Yeah.
as well. Like first time watches, because I just think it really makes an impact. Again, I still have nightmares about Gladys. Congratulations on your Oscar, Amy Madigan.
Yeah.
But like, I enjoy the Zachary Krieger. We've already talked about Zachary Krieger, so we don't need to give him more flowers. But I'm excited to see what he does next.
Yeah,
Um,
me too.
And I think one of the movies that also stuck with me the first time I watched it, but Hereditary and Midsommar.
Yeah.
So like with Hereditary at least, like dude, so I remember seeing the trailers on YouTube and I wasn't a horror person at that time. Like I couldn't do it. I get so scared so easily. If it's like give up my kidney or go through a haunted house, like goodbye kidney. It was nice
I
knowing you.
can do. No, I like horror movies. I can't do a haunted house.
Yeah,
Like,
like
do not touch me.
the first so I went through haunted house when I was like probably in elementary school and like
Mhm.
the whole time I just cried. I was going through it because I would see the trailers on YouTube and I was like, nope, too scary. But then I was coming back from Hong Kong, 16-hour flight, and the guy next to me was watching Hereditary. So then I was like, you know what, I should just watch it. So then I
Yeah.
watched it and like moment of
I've seen that
silence.
movie 5 times. Five was probably the last, which she should have gotten an Oscar nom for that. Just saying, Toni Collette. I'm like, Amy Madigan, I'm gonna let you finish. But Toni Collette had one of the best horror performances of all time.
And also like it's just like the way Ari Aster, Your Mind, that's it.
Sick mind. Sick little mind.
But like those movies genuinely shake me to my core. Because it's just like inherently, if you look at it, you're like, okay, so nothing really like that scary happened. Like there's no like jump scares. And
Unsettling is the word, like the whole time.
like that moment in Midsommar when like it's like the time for the old people to like jump off the cliff and then they jump off the cliff and you're just like, oh,
And then he just, ugh. Ah!
Or, like the part that I think really shook me to my core is like when those like other two people, they're like, oh, we're gonna leave. So then they're like leaving, and then they're like, oh yeah, they left. And then you see them later, and they like kind of like made them like living art pieces. Like it's just, it's so.
It's what I think about Hereditary is so unsettling and so creepy and like ugh, is the quietness in which everything happens. Because it's like some movies, it's like they're building up and they're like, oh my gosh, like this thing's happening. And there's a few moments in there like that, but like overall, it's just like so disturbing. Even with the way that like the movie opens and her sister dies and like
Oh my God. And then the moment where like you see the like sister and the
ah, there's so much happening in the background, which those are always the scariest horror movies for me. There's a moment in Hereditary where she like crawls across the
nope.
yuck. They're like there are these moments that are so disturbing, but what was good about Hereditary and Midsummer, I think, is that the writing is strong as well. Like the dialogue is, it doesn't feel like a lot of horror movies where it's like corny and like building to this thing. It's like there's this thing that's existing, a plot that's existing next to something horrifying that's happening in the background. And with Hereditary specifically, it's like you realize that you're seeing all these cult members and all these other people like throughout the movie, but you don't even know it until the end, and you're like, oh my gosh, yuck.
And it feels like it could happen, I guess.
Yeah.
Believable, and you're just like that moment where she's like, oh, we're gonna do a seance to like talk to your daughter or whatever. And then like you find out that she's like the main one behind the cult, and you're like, what?
You. Yeah. And she's good at being scary. I think she's in Handmaid's Tale too. I think going to the movies and watching movies in a community setting is so different from watching something like on streaming at home with like maybe your friends, whoever, because you're also just having this collective experience with other people. I think Hamnet gave us a version of that within the movie when, you know, she reaches her hand out and everybody's feeling that collective emotion. But that's literally what it feels like to watch theater or even like
That's like
going
what
to
it
a
feels like
movie.
to be at the Globe too.
Yes.
It's
That
like
I
like
literally said
yes.
that. I like, well, yes. I said that I think I was having a conversation with somebody I know I no longer talk to. No, but I think I was having a conversation with somebody about how it is so hard to capture that specific feeling of what it feels like to be on the globe stage because it is a very unique
Even just like watching stuff at the Globe. Like I'll never forget when we saw Much Ado About Nothing,
oh,
the guy who plays like no, genuinely, that wasn't my favorite Shakespeare. And then after seeing it, I was like, I will never stop talking about you, Much Ado.
I will never stop talking about you. Let me tell you all the Philip Cummins lore, okay? Philip Cumbus was not supposed to be Benedict that night, but then he went on as an understudy. And when you understudy at the Globe, they you go on script in hand because it's like I honestly I don't think anybody's expecting anybody to memorize that stuff. Um, he went on script in hand and gave us one of the best performances we have ever
Literally.
seen, and he was so hot. Ah,
So like he played Claudio before in Much Ado About Nothing.
yes.
And I think that's kind of like that's the rub of like actors is like when you're good at it, it's like I don't care if you're like 5'2" and like have a let me not say something offensive.
I was like, where are we going?
No, but like as an actor, like there's some people where it's like, oh, you're so good at this. It's you're hot. Like I don't know what
Yeah.
this. You're just so good at acting that like Willem Dafoe.
Yeah,
Not that I no.
shut up. Not that I would.
No, Morgan. No, literally.
No, but yeah, okay, yeah, I thought so. There's something about him. But no, there's something about like when there's something magnetic about a good actor
Hmm.
because you're not only able to pull us into the story and show us like, you know, or tell and show us what's going on without having to tell us, but like if we're talking about the Globe and everything, Jessie Buckley in Hamnet, for example, there's something so grounded about her performance. There's something so like the words about to come out of my mouth might be corny, primally feminine about her performance and her like the way she connects with nature and like having her baby in the woods. I'm like, yeah, like that feels right. And in these final moments of the movie, Kid has died at this point, and like her husband has been working on this play instead of being there grieving with her. And not only is she seeing all of his grief like put up on stage, but she's able to process her own in that moment.
Hmm.
And everybody there reaches out and touches her, and they're all just connected and they're with her. And she's not even the one on the stage, she's there watching the audience. But I feel as if like when she reaches out her hand and like touches his hand, that also what is what it feels like to watch a good performance. You're connecting with this person. And there's just something so beautiful about it. And being on the globe stage is a different type of energy. I'm like, I don't know how you felt, Karen, but I'm like, I would be up there and it's like it just feels like your body is emitting light. Like it feels like you're on
Yeah.
fire.
And it also feels like you have to give it everything you have.
Yeah.
It's crazy because it's like Jessie Buckley has literally been on that stage before.
Yeah.
Like it's been so many power. I'm pretty sure Chadwick Boseman.
I know they did a play that he wrote
They did
recently
Deep
there.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm sure he's been there. But it's just like there's been so many legendary actors who have passed through that stage. And genuinely, to perform at the Globe and be in one of their productions, you need to be an absolute sickening actor.
Yeah.
There's no space that's like it's a theater in the round, and also like you have to give it everything.
And when you get off that stage, you feel like you've ran a marathon because it requires so much of like your energy. But you know, there's a reason why they say like, oh, good actors can do Shakespeare, and I think that's true because Shakespearean words, like if you're just looking at them on paper, a lot of times it's just like, oh, that's a lot of words, and to be able to understand it is one thing, but to be able to understand it and deliver that and have other people understand it is a whole other thing. And I think that's like why you can watch anything, like even anime or whatever else in a different language, and you still understand what's going on because there's effective storytelling that's happening beyond the words, which is why the movies which is why we love the movies. No, but like I think it's part of the reason why silent films were able to last so long. You know, you read, of course, like every few seconds, like what they're saying, but it's like before you even read the words, you can kind of get a sense for what's happening in the scene, what's happening in the movie. I saw a silent film with Diego, and it was like the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. It was really ridiculous, but it was like the first horror film ever is what they said it was. It came out like 1920 something. It was like originally in German. And it's basically about like this sleepwalking man named Cesar who's like low-key killing people. And he had a really fuck ass haircut, irrelevant. But like there was something still engaging about it, even though again it's silent film. It's like they're playing music, which kind of also helps carry the story a little bit. Yeah, it was really interesting, and I can't imagine like trying to shoot a feature film back in that day. I think that would have killed me, and having to like act out these literally like seconds long scenes. Yeah, and there's this like melodramatic air to it because again you're not speaking, so you have to overact all of these words and moments. Yeah, so there's something to be said about the string between silent film and modern theater. I feel like, or silent film and Shakespeare, but that's another can of worms to open another day.
But genuinely, like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like this is something that we would talk a lot about. I don't know. I feel like in a lot of intro to theater classes in particular, or just like theater classes where you're discussing like play analysis or just anything else like that, a big topic is always like, oh, why do people go to the theater? And like, I feel like a lot of people kind of miss the like, you're connecting with people. It's like you're agreeing, you're all agreeing. Well, there's some people who don't agree, but like more or less you like go into a space and you're agreeing to go on this experience and this journey together, have these communal moments. And I think what you kind of don't get with watching stuff at home or like streaming it is like you can go on your phone, or like at least for me, I have ADHD, so like whenever I'm like not in the theater, I'm asking questions like every 2 seconds. So it's just like really, at least for me, it's really easy to get distracted. Well, like whereas I'm at the theater, I'm looking at everything. I don't know. For me, I don't know. Project Hail Mary was such a great film. And I think one of the things that they did extremely masterfully was like using sound. And there were so many moments where silence was so crucial to the storytelling they were doing. When Rocky like gets out of his ball
Don't even say that to me.
and he like is pulling like Grace out of like the chair to like save his life or whatever, and it's like everything is silent and like they're just spinning and it's silent, and it's like that's such an important moment of silence because it's like it's just real, like it's so real for it to be like silent in that moment. When I got to the theater, there was about probably like 15 middle school boys there, and I was like, they're gonna watch the Flop Flop Fish or like Hoppers, surely they can't be here for the IMAX primetime screening of Project Hail Mary. And I sit down and I tell my mom, I'm like, there's so many fucking kids here. So like they're behaving so poorly. They literally threw popcorn at me. I stood up and I gave them the look that I give my niece like when she's acting bad and she knows she shouldn't be. So I gave them that look and they were just like and I was like, oh fuck you guys. And they were like talking like in the beginning when they show like the dead emaciated bodies, like his
Yeah.
cremator. One of the kids literally screamed, that looks like your mom. And I was like, oh my God, can you guys shut the fuck up? So then the girls would
I'm
more
sorry, it's not funny. It's literally not it's not funny.
so the girls they keep talking. So then the like male adult with them like tells them to be quiet. And then I just keep seeing people get up throughout the movie. I feel like I my parents had been taking me to movie theaters since I was very little. And I always knew like
Not to act like that.
not to act like that. And also like maybe this is just a me problem, but
Sorry.
whenever I was with like my friends' parents, I was never like, I'm gonna act worse than I would with my own parents. I'm like, I need to be on my better behavior than I would be with my parents. And
Okay,
then
so
at one point, like
mhm.
when it was silent, like dead silent, one of the kids went like and they're like, why did you fart? And I was like, that's literally not funny. That's not funny. Like, you guys aren't funny.
Do it at home.
And that's something that I truly believe in is like when people make jokes that aren't funny, don't laugh.
Don't laugh.
I used to laugh so much, like pity laugh at people's jokes. And I'm like, I'm not going to laugh if you're not funny anymore. I'm sorry. But I'm not because, like, do
And
better.
you know what? That is the first step to not being a people pleaser. In this essay, I will talk about no, like genuinely, the minute that you stop laughing at people's jokes that aren't funny, you gain back a little piece of yourself.
That's how you know the movie was good. Because
Yeah.
it's for all of that bullshit I was going through watching that movie, even through all of that, I was still in tears. I was still in my feelings. It was still super good and super well done.
I'm like the things I've experienced in the theater in the past like few years, especially since like moving here, have been crazy. This was last summer. I went to go see the Phoenician Scheme with Charlotte. There's a man for 45 minutes who sat behind us on the phone, like calling different people,
At
talking
this
at full volume, like literally in the back. Might as well have been on speaker. He was like, "Yeah, and throw those on the grill," like just
during
the
Wes
whole time.
Anderson's The Finishing Scheme?
Yes. From the time that I got there, because I was a little bit late because I was running from town. This was one of the worst commutes I ever had. It was like half the trains were shut down. There were power outages because it was so hot. I was sweating. It was 100 degrees in the dark. It was crazy. But no, I like got to the theater and he was on the phone and I was like, oh, maybe he's like wrapping up because the movie just started. For 45 minutes, he was on the phone. And it got to the point where Charlotte got fed up and she asked him to shut up a few times. He ignored her. So then she went out and got somebody and then he finally got off his phone and then he eventually left. I'm like, if you need to talk on the phone with background noise, literally go outside. We live in New York. I'm like, if you need to talk on the phone with background noise, go home and watch TV and talk like
She's
that.
like,
And like people like in live theater always like recording on their phones and getting caught. That's
mm,
always funny, but it's also insane because it's just like, and the way that they stop them from recording is they go out
mm.
there with a flashlight and strobe it in their face, which is also distracting to the actors and to
That
us.
one
But
politician who was like getting freaky at Beetlejuice.
oh, who was that? Was that Lauren Boebert?
I think so. Yeah. Freaky at
And what
Beetlejuice.
about Beetlejuice makes you want to like especially the musical. That's making you want to get freak nasty in the theater. Think about it.
No, but also the people who go to like rom-coms just to make out, fuck you.
And you know what? I've been a rom-com hater for a long time.
It's one of my favorite genres. I'm sorry.
I was gonna try and give a butt to that statement, but there really isn't one. But no, like you know,
Do you like the Moulin Rouge?
never seen it.
That was one of my first favorite movies, actually.
I need to watch it because I know I think I would like it because I like Baz Luhrmann. Yeah, because I like his Romeo and Juliet. That's one of my favorite movies. But I think like rom-coms in general, I just like maybe that'll open up my heart a little bit. I watch them and I'm like, I'm not romming or comming.
Just see you, me, and Tuscany and see how you feel.
Okay. Yeah, I'll watch that because you know it's got blacks in it. No, but it was like I the most recent rom-com I think I watched was About Time.
Mm. Girl, that's like more like a rom-drom, I feel like.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's one of those movies. I'm like I think when I was watching it in London, I was watching with a group of people, and I was so exhausted and I fell asleep. And then I watched it again, and I don't know. It's one of those movies that I think for me emotionally hits a lot of areas, but it's like the romance part of it was the least compelling part of the story for me. And I feel like I feel that way about a lot of movies where it's about relationships or love or whatever else is like that always ends up being the aspect of the story where that I'm least like drawn to. Or it's like maybe I'm just watching the wrong movies that always end in like the saddest fucking ways, like Me Before You. Ugh. Never watching that again. But yeah, I don't know. I'm like maybe I need to get on my rom-com grind. If you have rom-coms, send them my way. Don't let them be bad though.
I love rom-coms so much. Have you seen Crazy Stupid Love? That's a rom-com.
No, I haven't. It's on my list. I have a list of movies on my letterbox called movies I have to force myself to watch, and most of them are in fact rom-coms because I don't know what it is about a rom-com and like maybe it was like I didn't really grow up watching them either.
This is my biggest shame. I really did enjoy the like Much Ado with Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell. You can cut that out. People don't need to know that
No,
about
I
me.
think people need to know. That's well, anyway, I liked 10 Things I Hate About You. That's one
Rom-com.
I
Yeah.
enjoy. But I think it's because
Teenage.
I resonate with her. And she's like, yeah, actually, I don't hate you at all. But like even then, that's a modern version of Taming of the Shrew, which is Shakespeare, which I'm like, it doesn't count. Not original story. But I'm trying to
Clueless
think.
is like an adaptation of Emma, but also Clueless is a little bit weird because she gets with her brother.
Yeah.
Um,
And I like Clueless is fine. I'm like I don't watch it and have a visceral response. I'm genuinely digging for any rom-coms that I like. Let me look at my letterbox. There are three rom-coms in
mhm.
my entire watched log since I've been on here. And they are About Time, The Idea of You, and Pretty in Pink, which I love Pretty in Pink. Which came out in the 80s with Molly Ringwald
I don't
and
know. It's one of the
John Hughes.
yes, John Hughes movies, like Breakfast
Yes.
Club. There's another one with Molly
Ferris
Ringwald.
Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's
I
good.
guess Pretty in Pink is rom-com, but she chooses the hot popular guy over Ducky, which I was like, I know people were mad about that, but I'm like,
No, she's
uh,
right.
you're not one of the girls. Like, no,
Mhm.
but I think well, okay. So Pretty in Pink, I didn't log anything for. For About Time, I know I put like a smiley face as the review, and for The Idea of You, which I did not enjoy. Oh, my review was Be For Real. Yeah, I don't know. I've been trying to get into rom-coms because I'm trying to like romance. I never have, but I'm trying to explore that part of myself. I think I like romantic plays and I like romantic theater because I
Mhm.
think it has a very specific air to it, but I feel like a lot of times in movies it just like falls flat for me or it just feels like, well, the guy won. And I'm like and I hate that feeling.
That's fair.
But yeah, trying to up my rom-com game. I'm gonna get into that and maybe we'll
But
have an
then
episode about it.
that's one of my favorite genres of movies, just because I'm a hopeless romantic, unfortunately.
Somewhere deep in me I am, but then, they bring out the terrors in me. No, I think I love the movies and I'm really excited to see what comes out for the rest of the year. I'm seeing They Will Kill You on Friday. I'm so excited for Spider-Man and I'm excited for the Odyssey. I
Mhm.
know men are probably going to be annoying about it, but I'm looking forward to it
They're
because
not
I
even
think
going
it'll
to
be
understand it the way I understand it.
you're not
No,
going to
that's how I feel about Interstellar. I'm like, you may like it, but you don't like it the way I like it.
yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing like what stories really stick this year.
Mhm.
I know
I
last
really-
year like I saw Sinners and I saw Weapons and I saw One Battle After Another. Mickey 17 was also a movie that stuck with me last year that people didn't really talk about very much and I don't think many people saw it. But yeah, I just, I'm looking forward to it. Last year was a really good year for movies. I have a good feeling about this year. I'm unfortunately an AMC A-list member.
No, we could tell Morgan. You didn't even have to say.
Yeah, fuck. Just shut up. Shut up,
Wait,
guys. Did you know you can see four movies? Sorry.
I'm really excited for the new Mario movie. I'm sorry.
Honestly, you know what made me excited for it? I was walking by Columbus Circle on my way to ballet class. Actually, I think it was before I was going to ballet class. And there's like these big windows on the front, and they put like a giant Princess Peach up there, like on the windows, like stained glass, and it's really cute. And I was like, oh,
But like when I saw Donald Glover was gonna be Yoshi, I was like,
I fear I must be in the theater.
is he gonna be like, is he gonna hit that like high note at the end of Me and Your Mama? Like, what we doing? What we getting into?
Oh my gosh, she's like, stay woke. It's like so true, Yoshi. But no, I'm just really excited for the movies, and I love the way the movies make me feel when the movie is good. And honestly, even when the movie is bad, when the movie is bad and you're there with a community of people, it is the most fun thing in the world.
Okay, I have a tip. So if you're going to see a movie that you know might not particularly be the best movie in the world, watch it in 40X. It makes it better.
The only movie I ever saw in 40X was Blue Beetle, and you would have thought we were dying in that theater. That was the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced. They were whipping us in the ankles, they were shaking the seats, there was wind. Yeah, there was an ankle whip. Every time somebody got punched in the face, I got whipped in the
I
ankle, and I was
don't
like, why
want
am
that.
I getting punished for it? A whip!
That's not my experience, girl. I don't know.
No, they were whipping it literally like it was like somebody got punched in the face, right? It was like whoosh. And I literally was like pulling my legs up because I was like, I don't want to get whipped in the ankles no more. Like literally look it up, look up 40X ankle whips, and I promise you, people are talking about it.
See, like for me, like it was just the seat was shaking and there was some water, but you could turn that off. Like you didn't need to have the water on if you didn't want
No, like the 40X movie theater in Syracuse, New York, they will whip you in the ankle. But yeah, so go to the movies if you can. If you have the means, invest in that AMC A-list membership or a membership with your local theater. Go to the movies, y'all. Love the movies. We love the movies. Support your movie theaters and go to the movies and please do it so they stop making shitty jokes at the Oscars. I'm really tired. So, anyway,
traffic report.
traffic report. Last week, I didn't do much. I mostly just worked and I did see Project Hail Mary, which I guess, Karen and I both did. But Fridays, I'm now designating as my movie date days where I take myself to the movies to go see a movie. So I'm seeing They Will Kill You this upcoming Friday, which is, with Sassy Beats, who I love. What else did I? Oh, I braided my hair. For the past like few years, I have been trying to commit to doing my own hair always because not only are braiders really expensive, but it's also just time that I get for myself. And Saturday, I sat down probably around like 6 p.m. and started braiding my hair, and I finished around 1 a.m. So it is time consuming. But get into the braid, get into the pony. Yeah, and that's just always something I've enjoyed doing for myself. And oh, I went for a walk the other day, which is not profound or anything. I go for walks all the time. But I went for a walk in Shakespeare's Garden in Central Park, which is by the Delacorte, which has been newly renovated. It's beautiful. But yeah, I was in there and they have like these little plaques that have yeah, different quotes from Shakespearean plays. And I like walked, I came upon one of them and it was like a quote from Winter's Tale. But it was so cute and it was like, oh my God, it's for me. There was like a little flower, I'm trying to show my phone. There's a little flower right behind the plaque. But the quote is, "Here's flowers for you. Hot lavender, mint, savory marjoram, the marigold that goes to bed with the sun, and with him rises weeping." And I was like, oh, and there was a little flower by it. And I was like, that's really, it just made me very, I don't know why I got emotional. And it's also like now officially springtime as of the 20th. And so, yeah, I'm really excited for spring. Not so much summer. Summer in the city is fine. It's just hot as hell. I'm excited for springtime because
Doesn't
I think
feel like
it's just,
summer in the city.
there's nothing like summer in the city. No, but yeah. I'm excited for springtime and I'm excited to just like be outside and be amongst life and like things are starting to grow and like it's starting to get a little bit green and it's really exciting. It's been a really cold like 8 months. What'd you do this week?
I went to Pilates a lot because I hadn't since I went to Seattle the week before. I was like wanting to get my body moving again. But it's so fun and like genuinely it was kicking my ass so bad. But I don't know, I love working out or like at least finding a workout that like works for you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's been so many things where like I've tried workouts and I'm like this is just not enjoyable. But at least with Pilates I can like go and it's fun and I'm like moving my body. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I was
That's
outside.
how I feel about ballet.
I did go to a hockey game on Saturday and it was really fun. They did lose, but I don't
Typical.
know. I
Yeah.
enjoy seeing them. It's always a good time. I've been like locked in on Pokepokia. It's like a fun time. I enjoy it. I like Pokemon, so
Yeah. Okay. Nerd. Anyway, let's get into the music we've been listening to this week. Okay, so the first song that I put on mine is Life During Wartime Live by the Talking Heads, which, if you've seen Stop Making Sense, which is like their movie that they did, or it's basically a movie of the concert they did, I think back in '84. It is one of my favorite things I've seen of all time. It's so weird, it's so good, and I also just love Dave Burton Talking Heads. But Life During Wartime is one of my favorite walking songs because it's just like super upbeat. But if you watch the performance, they're essentially running in place the whole time. And my brain was like, if they ever did like a stage version of this concert, I would love to be in it. It is so cool. It is so cool. It is so awesome. And I think it would translate really well. The next song that I put is Particles by Nothing But Thieves, which has been one of my favorite songs for a long time. I don't know what it is about it. There's just like something so I love a good song where you don't really know what they're saying all that much.
it's that
Um,
emo.
and the guitar is really hot. Yeah. You said I'm emo? Yeah, a little bit. I was sitting there today and I was like, I'm really like a reformed closeted emo because I would be in my room listening to some of the things that you would be like, Morgan, are you good? I've always been a diehard Paramore fan. You know, Panic at the Disco, I feel like toes the line of like true emo, but there's like some emo stuff where I'm like, I'm not gonna
No, because why would you say that? Because I've seen Panic at the Disco like 4 or 5 times in concert.
emo. No, but like, yeah. There's something about the guitar, a good guitar riff, a good bass riff, a good anything. I'm in the pocket.
But have you listened to Death of a Bachelor, the album?
Yes.
It's so good. Do you not think so?
I used to think so. I need to listen to it again
Well,
as an
I haven't
adult.
listened to it in a long time. I'm talking about from my experience of liking it at that time.
No, without a almost developed frontal lobe, that was prime time. When he hit that Emperor's New Clothes, when he said, "I pray for the wicked on the weekends," like, "Mom, can I get another amen?" I was there. I was there. I don't know why, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
The Black Magic on Mulholland Drive.
Just no aliens, but see, like y'all, you had to be there. You had to be there. Anyway, okay, the
Wait,
next song I put is "Don't You" by the Pussycat Dolls. This song makes me feel like I can't even explain what it makes me feel like. It makes me feel like I'm walking around in 2006 and I'm about to steal your man. That's what it makes me feel like. I'm not about to steal your man. I don't, putting that out there, PSA. I don't want your man. But it is one of the songs where I literally, I'm like walking down the street. I have my shades on. I'm on my way to work. I'm on my way to wherever. And I just feel like it's just such a diva song.
don't ask me why, but
Hmm.
the song reminds me of Gloria the hippo from Madagascar.
Yeah, that's the vibe. No, like I'm no, I get I'm not about to dispute that. Like Gloria is like that girl. That's what the song feels like, and it makes me like want to whip my ponytail around and be like, "Who said that? Like?" It's a good song.
What Buttons does for me.
Yeah, like honestly, this era of Pussycat Dolls also when I grew up, good. And I know,
We
not to
don't
say
need to
too
talk about
much.
that. We don't
We
need
don't
to
need
talk
to talk about, but anyway, don't you? It's such a good song. And I think it just reminds me of being in the backseat of the car and being like 8 and also being a diva then and being a diva now. And like Diva by Beyonce, like it's for the girls that were the Leo girl children. Anyway, um,
about Girl Children.
the Leo girl children. The next song I have is Teenage Dirtbag by Wheatus.
Girl,
Um, y'all, I again like I said, reformed emo, reformed grunge, reformed whatever. I love that song so much. I don't, it'll do it for me every time. I think the guitar, especially on the chorus, is just so like it starts out, it's very acoustic and it's like, she doesn't know who I am. You're like, okay. Then it gets that chorus and you're just like, you're in it.
but what about the One
Um,
Direction version?
and that's the first time I ever heard the song, actually. I was in the movies watching the One Direction movie. I was probably like what, 10 years old, and Harry was like, her name is Noah. And I was like,
Harold.
and then they have like them like dressed up as superheroes or whatever, like illustrated. It was doing something for me back then. But I remember that was the first time I heard the song, and then when I got older, I like actually listened to the song outside of that context, and I was like, I still rock with it. And I get why people like it. It's a white people jam, but I love it. Then the last song I have is Watch Me by Labi Siffre. But like people listen to my song, which is like I think his most popular. Canic Chase was really popular because it was in sentimental value, but it was popular before that too. But this one, I remember I was on the bus, I was leaving work, and I was just like listening to a bunch of like folk mixes on Spotify because they have like all these mixes or whatever. And I've been listening to a lot of Joni. So this was like on a Joni Mitchell mix. And I remember the song started and I was like, oh, like I've heard this song before. And then like this like kind of bass comes in, and I was like having an emotional response. And I was like, why
Hmm.
am I like why am I feeling it in my chest? It's also just a beautiful song. And I was like, where have I heard this song before? I was like, it was in a movie, it was in a TV show, or it was in something. I remember I watched maybe like a handful of episodes of This Is Us a long
Mm,
time ago when it came out. And in the scene where like we see like the main three characters as babies, like when they're born in the hospital, it's like the mom has just had these babies in the hospital and the dad is like looking at them through the window, like in the little NICU area. And then this song starts playing, and you just see like the dad looking at all of them, like all three of these kids with like so much love and affection. But it like it just elicits such like a beautiful visceral response in here, and just made me think about like life and growing and changing, and like I feel like I'm in a really like weird transitional phase right now in my own life, and so yeah, it just makes me emotional, and it's also just like an empowering and beautiful song. What are you listening to, Karen?
so I put Never Too Much by Luther Vandross because that song is just so good. Like it's such a classic, but like it's so good.
Yeah.
Like I just love it so like I'll listen to it a lot and then I'll forget it exists and then I'll hear it again and I'll be like, oh my God, why did I stop listening to that? It's so good. But
Never too close, never too much.
I was in Pilates and like my teacher was like, what do y'all want to listen to? And she's like, I'll just play an 80s mix. And like it was playing and I was like, oh, this song is so fucking good.
Yeah.
And the lyrics, if you listen to it, I'm just like, ugh, like again, like hopeless romantic. Morgan, get into that.
I know. I know. I can, well, there's some love song. I can do songs more than I can do the movies because
I
I
think
feel
it's
like
because like with
that's,
the songs, you like feel it endowed into the music, while like
yeah.
with the movies, you actually have to watch the actions, which sometimes you're like, oh. But
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, oh God, we get it.
also I want to shout out the T-Pain version or like the cover. I wish he like, released the whole thing instead of just
Yeah.
like the little like, oh my love. But
Yeah.
it's so good. T-Pain can sing. I'll give you all that. And like also,
T-Pain does not need the auto tune, know that much.
but, like I saw him at Camp Flog Gnaw this
Yeah.
past year, and I was like, fuck, like this is so good. Like just like banger after banger. My next song is Sign of the Times by Harry Styles, just because I saw Project Hail Mary and I was like, fuck that. And just like hearing the story of how Sandra Huller, but just hearing the story of like how she had like 24 hours to pick a song to like sing and how she picked Sign of the Times and they're like, that song's too expensive. And she was like, it's this or nothing.
Make it work. It's
Like genuinely, it's such a
like your
perfect
Amazon hoe. Pay for the song rights, please.
but it's such a perfect song for like the movie. And genuinely, it's just I don't know. I feel like since it was played so much in kind of one of Harry's bigger songs, I kind of like ignored it a little in my brain. And I'm like, fuck, it is really it's that good. And also feels relevant. And then my next song is Dracula by Tame Impala. Like this song, my favorite part of this song is when
My
he's like
friends are saying, "Shut up, Kevin. Just get in the car."
and then it's like Kevin. Like love that part. But it's just it's a good ass song. And then my next song is Fantasmas by Umbe. I don't know. I love it because it's like kind of a newer song. It came out in 2023. but it feels like such a like old, like classic, like Latino song, but it's newer. I don't know if you've seen the show Como Agua para Chocolate.
Mm-mm.
It's on HBO. It's really good. There's like this like moment where they're like, it's Dia de los Muertos, and they're like looking at the ofrenda, and then the song starts playing. And I'm like, fuck. Like, and it's just such a pretty song in general.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know. I don't know if you listen to it, but I love that song. The last song I added was Man, I Feel Like a Woman, which I don't know if I still stand by that decision today, but I added it for a reason. So that's all I'll say about that. No, it's just like it's a fun song.
Okay.
Like, but then like I was listening to it again today and I was like, eh. Like there's nothing wrong with it. It's just
Yeah.
like it kind of reminds like but then I guess I would rather listen to Real Gone by Cars, but it kind of reminds me of them.
Yo, Sheryl Crow.
Yeah.
I saw Sheryl Crow in concert at the Green Jacket Stadium in Augusta, Georgia.
Hold on, you're gonna crash.
Yeah, I know the song. Because that song goes hard and it makes me want to drive my car above the speed limit. No, I rock with Sheryl Crow. I think Shania Twain, I think Harry Styles is probably the biggest Shania Twain fan. Because he keeps bringing her out and I'm like, what? Okay, whatever.
She's opening for him, I think, in like
Yeah.
Amsterdam or something.
But remember when he was like at Coachella and he did late night talking for the first time? He brought her out to do Man, I Feel Like a Woman. And I was like, Shania Twain, girl? Okay.
But also, I don't know. I think for me, it's like a fun song because I'm like, yeah, like I love being a woman. But then
Mhm.
also, I'm like,
But the terrors. No I'm kidding.
Paris, literally, yeah. And then like it's like, oh, I'm gonna wear like a men's shirt with a short skirt, and I'm like, fuck yeah, because I do that all the time. But also like the terrors.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what we add next week. But yeah, I think this is all we got for today. And if you made it this far, thank you for listening. We look forward to hearing from you next week and seeing you next week or whenever this comes out or I don't even know. Anyway, thank you for listening and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.